The traditional way, serigraphic glue plus a granilla machine, or the digital glue plus one granilla machine. We have this system already. Now also they commercialize this second idea as a complete machine, but really, in one machine, the idea of the versatility, in one of the oldest machines of Kerajet, he upgraded me to Shahin. Now, with the high day round from the new sharp printheads, he can put 90 grams and he can put 1 bar of glue, and with the existing granilla machine he can do the latest, he can do another different products with one machine from 10 years ago. Okay. A little bit to understand the resolution that we can achieve. Okay. This was bull, one spider, and the idea. This is the kind of definition that we can achieve. This is the typical product with three. We put the same granillas on the 3 bars, for example, and we can get volume. We will put the video.
کاشی که از قبل ریلیف داره میشه اخلاقی که خب طبیعتاً با چاپ تخت معمولی نمیشه این کار کرد. با دیجیتال میشه که حالا این کارهای جدیدتره که اومده و دیگه نیاز به پخت سوم و داستانا نیست، تو همون خط تولید به همین.
من سخنرانی بعدی رو شرکت ساکمی براتون معرفی میکنم. دوستان عزیز شرکت ساکمی 3 تا پرزنتیشن دارن در مورد دستگاه‌های تولید کاشی‌های سایز بزرگ، بعد از اون در خصوص دستگاه دیجیتال شرکت انتزاع و در نهایت در مورد ساینکو شرکتی هستش که در مورد روغن‌های چاپ و روغن‌های هیدرولیک پرس و موارد مربوطه براتون سخنرانی می‌کنن. خواهش می‌کنم تشویق بفرمایید آقای فابیو فراری از شرکت ساکمی رو که تشریف بیارن پرزنتیشنشون رو در خدمتشون باشه. خب شرکت ساکمی که مطلع هستید که جزو بزرگترین شرکت‌های تولید کننده ماشینالات صنعتی هستش. این شرکت از سالهای گذشته دستگاه تولید کاشی‌های سایز بزرگ تحت عنوان کانتینوا رو به بازار معرفی کرد که امروز ما این سخنرانی رو داریم. یک تشویق دیگه که ایشان انرژی داشته باشن برای مسئول.
Good afternoon, good morning to everybody. My name is Fabio Ferrari and I'm sales manager for SACMI from the Iranian market. First of all, thanks for inviting us here to be participating to this Congress. It's also the chance to give a further thanks to the organization committee and to the guests that are here and that they will continue with the exhibition after. Today, I would like to present the topic of what is the sacmi technology related to the new innovation related to big slab production. In Italy, we used to say that to prepare and to introduce the future, we have to know the past. Well, that's why this first slide comes. This first slide starts from one basic concept, that is, always in the past there was a very strict and clear link between the technology that was used, like the press, to make the tiles, to give shape to the tile, and the maximum size that it was possible to produce. As you see from this slide, you may see how in 30 years the tonnage of the press became more than 10 times bigger. So the growth is really unbelievable. That is, everybody's seen in the market how is important the shift to big size and big tiles production. This means that with the technology of hydraulic press, whenever there is a demand of an increased size or a bigger size to satisfy the market needs, we as SACMI, we were always first line to introduce in our production a bigger press. Of course, bigger press means bigger foundation, bigger amount of material, bigger pieces of equipment which become important also in terms of weight and management, but still running perfectly. So we introduced something that, we wanted to innovate radically from the real basic concept of pressing. Now, just to give you a brief example, if we compare one of the biggest presses that we have is the press for 10,000 tons production, and we put it aside what is the new technology that we have brought into the market since 4.5 years ago, which is the Continua Plus technology, which is dramatically oriented to the big size and big slab production. So, for example, if we consider a press which is 10,000 tons, you may read also on the slide, we can consider a maximum size which is 1.2 by 1.8 meter. The thickness is ranging from 3 to 30 millimeter according to the market needs. And the capacity, the output that we can have and we can deliver with this machinery is, of course, a capacity which is the one that you read is about 10,000 square meters per day, enough to satisfy a quite long production kiln. Let's see what is Continua Plus doing, and also we saw also how is this the first picture of this setup different from the traditional pressing. First of all, we can say that with the Continua Plus we have one maximum size that is 1.6, but the second dimension is theoretically unlimited. You can decide to fit it into 1.2, 1.5, 2, 2.5, up to whatever you want. Usually we fix a limit in order to grant a practical management of the pieces around the factory. The thickness is ranging from 3 to 20 millimeter, and the production capacity of this line is exceeding by nearly 40% the capacity of a traditional press, which is up to 14,000 square meters per day. The important thing is that we can do with this machinery, with this technology, very high added value products, and at the same time, what in the traditional pressing, maybe we have to use bigger thickness, with these technologies we can reduce the thickness, having the same quality, saving cost in the body composition, and also, compared to the traditional pressing, we can have the same aesthetical effect and even more. So, a little bit of history, what was the Continua Plus evolution. The first line was installed in 2012, so we are talking about 5 years ago, in Graniti Fiandre. Actually, we have 23 already running, installing, and other 7 in the pipe in the next 6 months. So totally, we have a total number of machinery in 6 months' time from now that will be operating, that will be 30. As you have seen in the slide before, let me go back a little bit, there is not anymore the so-called traditional hydraulic press. We use what we call the PCR, that it's a code to mean the compactor. Actually, we moved the compactation and the shaping of the tiles from the traditional hydraulic press into a technology which has not the concept of the traditional hydraulic press, but is made by some kind of belt pressing with a lamination process, a lamination with a laminatory technology, which is completely innovative in the market, patented by SACMI. A little bit step up. The thickness I told you before, and the format that we can do, as I was explaining before, are adjustable also in real time according to the need. And this means that if in 20 minutes you want to change the size of your tile, you simply set it in your PLC computer by the operator, and then you're through. This idea and this concept and this machinery, which has already seen by the next 6 months 30 units working, has been validated and is being given a lot of tremendous innovation for the pressing technology, which now is taking a lot of grip in the market because of the flexibility of this technology and the fact that you have not any more foundation to build, the easiness of the changeover in the format, and the saving the energy because the main core technology, which is the compactor that you have seen before, which is the first part of this image, is actually with an installed power that is 15 times less compared to the similar press that you had to manage. So actually, if we look at it, we have a much more performing technology, which is more output, more quality, saving in the cost of the body, aesthetical effects that are even possible to push further compared to traditional presses, and the total flexibility of the line. We were saying before, the Continua Plus, which core is the compactor, the so-called PCR, doesn't require any foundation. So when you install it in your factory, it can be inserted in an existing factory, in an existing layout, and it doesn't not require any particular extra job in the sustain of the foundation because industrial flooring is enough. By the way, the Continua Plus line and the compactor, they are using regular spray-dried powder coming from your existing spray dryer. So you may have, we have already factories in which one Continua Plus is beside some other presses, traditional and hydraulic presses, which are both of them fed with the same material. The management of the scrap is optimized in a way that almost we can reduce it to zero because just we have a very limited amount at the very edge of the compactor, and this scrap can be used and treated and recycled inside the same compacting process in order to reduce the waste theoretically to zero. You can read also the consumption in terms of energy. This machinery has installed something about 50 kilowatt total installed power, which put dramatical energy saving of the energy, of the power that is installed. It means that the kilowatt hour per square meter is reduced by 80% compared to the hydraulic press. No noise, because there is no pushing of an hydraulic piston on the fixed part of the press, and the dust generation is really contained to the minimum because it is not a stop and go like in the hydraulic presses or in other technology. It is a continuous process where everything is controlled. The feeding of this line, as you can see in the first part of this slide, is made by depositing layer on a feeding belt, which allows the production to have a management of the feeding line by layer of different powder. In other words, you can have the combination of the layer in order to be having a very nice effect on the surface, but at the same time using the base body for the lower part of the thickness in order to use ordinary material with no pigment. That, in other words, means superb production with incredible aesthetical effect, but a very contained cost of the body. You can also load multi-layer, you can play with color in the layer, you can insert different layer of different nature for technical application. There is an example with foam ceramic in order to have a more thermal insulation and noise reduction, and in this logic of the layer you can use one of this layer to recycle this 2.5% of scrap from the cutting of the edge of the slab coming, and recycle inside the body itself, so that actually looking at the compactor machinery overall, you don't have any scrap at all. This machinery, the compactor, can also deliver surface with the structure, and you can decide whether you would like to go with flat, if you want to have flat tiles, if you want to have rustic, if you want to have marble, stone imitation, cement, or geometric effect as well. This can be done. The very core of the Continua Plus is the compactor, as I was saying before, because actually it is completely changing the subject of compacting the tiles. In this case, as you may see, in the terminal part of the compactor there are two rollers counter-rotating each other, and we keep a fixed clearance. The powder is fed, obliged to go through this clearance that we set, and then it will be this clearance the final thickness of the compacted product. What is the main difference? Actually here the compaction doesn't happen anymore like it was on the traditional pressing on a surface. It happens on a line. We started with a slide in which I was saying that the hydraulic press, when the size is increased, has to increase the tonnage. Well, this is where Continua Plus is a revolution, because SACMI removed, with the Continua Plus compactor, one dimension from the process. That means that regardless the size that you produce, the compactor of the Continua Plus is always the same machine. Tomorrow you want to produce a bigger size, you don't have to change a machinery or like the compactor. In the past, you wanted to produce a bigger tile, you have to change the press and put a bigger one. That's why this is the very key point of this. Continua Plus and its compactor is size independent. And this gives a degrees of freedom in the hand of the producer, which is huge. And this is where the technological breakthrough is. Disconnect the production of the size from the nature and the size of the machine itself. This roller, they give the compactation through a very small strip, so the aeration of the powder is controlled and kept at the minimum. We do not have to deaerate surface of 5 square meters, and we know how hard it is. We have also the possibility, as we said before, to put an engrave on the belt which is supporting this compactor in order to create a pattern on the surface. Then it's up to you. You would like to have geometric, stone, and this is always possible. This machinery is proceeding at a linear speed, the belt feeding the compactor, of 7 linear meters per minute regularly with ordinary thickness, and this means a capacity daily of 14,000 square meters. As we said before, the possibility of having structured surfaces give you the possibility to reproduce the combination of surface that integrate also with the digital printing. I'm meaning wood. You may create the structure of the wood, and then you may interlock the digital printing decoration based on the structure. You can also decide not to apply any structure. In this case, it is simply the stainless steel belt which is acting on directly in the contact with the powder. And the important thing is that if you want to change the structure which is delivered by the upper belt of the compactor, you need 30 minutes of changeover. You stop the machine, you open it, it's like a cylinder that you take out and you insert the new one very easily. In 30 minutes you do a size, but in this case a pattern changeover, when if you consider a press for like 10,000 tons we have, this job is much more time-taking, maybe some hours. So also the changeover time is reduced to the minimum. Here just we put a little bit the places where we have installed this line, and I told you there are 23 running, 25 installed in the next, other 2 running in the next 2 weeks, and by the next 6 months other 7 up to reach a number of 30. But the main point is not to tell the number, which is important, because these are 30 machines in 4 0.5 years that they are in the market, but also to show where they are. They are not in all of them, they are not nearby Italy. So they are sometimes in faraway places where we know, maybe the people could say, oh, I'm not just around the corner of Sacmi. Well, you can see, we are talking Brazil, Indonesia, Egypt, Emirates, US. So this technology has another plus because it makes big slab, which is a very difficult product, in a very easy way. Of course, it takes technicians with proper skill. We are growing, we are with the top brand worldwide, and they have been validated our technology by going not only for a first installation, but repeating and doubling factory. Some factories, they have more than 5 lines with us. So that means that what is the scope that we wanted to deliver with this technology is really achieved. One important thing that it has to be mentioned is that now, later on, my colleague Mr. Felicani will talk you more about digital printing. Okay. In the process of the Continua Plus, it is possible to have something which is, I think, a revolution in terms of the design. Why I say revolution? Because before the compactor, when we feed the powder on the steel belt, we can use what we call DDD, which is a digital dry printing. It's a machinery that deposits dry powder, but in a digital controlled way. That means always the same pattern in a precise way. Then there is the possibility to give a structure to the surface. And after that, you can go for the digital wet decoration, which is the traditional technology of wet process. Well, these 3 steps may be coordinated and integrated with one unique CPU controlling all the process. We can integrate the dry decoration, the structure of the belt, so the structure of the surface of the tile, and the wet digital application in a way to synchronize all of them. And in this way, the result you can obtain is that is absolutely perfect, because you have a perfect coordination of powder, structure, and finishing. The powder application, that is a little bit how we feed the compactor, is, as I said before, made by layer deposition. Layer deposition is made by this first application that you see starting with APB 0 or 00. Well, with these 2 applications is a depositing of spray dye powder by layer, multiple layer, in order to do what I was explaining before. The base powder, then the noble one, or the rich one, or the one which gives the effect. We can also insert the recycled powder coming from the very small scrap that may arise from the line, and also the digital dry decoration. This is happening before the compactor. The digital dry decoration, which is a machinery that is just located before the compactor, is able to deliver, as you may read, spray-dried powder, spray-dried glaze, grain, and flakes, in order to, let's say, widen at the possible range of the product that are sometimes used in the market to give added value, grain, flakes, and combination even of both. Just to give you some idea, this is how you see in the feeding line how the digital decoration in dry way can prepare a pattern. And as you may see, this is Sacmi main headquarters. We made a wall, a cladding outside, in which we made a graphic sprayed over different tiles, and from outside you can see our logo of Sacmi. And as you do this one, you can do any other kind of effects. Important thing, we said before that there are some belts which are put around the cylinder, which are the compactor of the technology. Well, in the picture, especially in the right bottom one, you can see how is this belt. This is a cylinder with on top and you may see the detail on the top left, engraved a resin, which is the so-called structure that is later on transferred to the surface of the tile. The concept looks like similar to what you have in your punches in the die set in the factory. But instead of having the punches, here you have on the belt. This belt is rotating, transferring the structure to the powder compacted. The changeover of this belt and this cylinder with the new graphic is 30 minutes. Okay. Then there is the third step, which is the dry wet decoration, which I don't want to take much of your time because Mr. Felicani from Intesa will picture out the detail of it, but the machinery that we are offering with our Intesa company are completely covering the range of formats that by now we have fixed by 1.6 by 3.2 meter as a maximum size, but in the future we could increase up to 4 or 4.5, whatever the market will require. One important thing is that sizes and the front, so both of the sizes of the final product, can be changed in real time by PLC. So by a simple adjustment of the press feeding and of the cutting of the tile, which is happening immediately after the compactor while the tile moving. So all the process is continuous, no stop and go. So this is summarizing a little bit in a concept what I was saying before. When you develop a product with the Continua Plus, you can start not only with an image elaboration, but you can translate this image elaboration into a structure elaboration that you can have it directly in the compactor and prepare it even better to give much more depth to the effect, especially when we talk about stone, with the dry digital decoration. So the dry digital decoration, the structure of the tile in the compactor and the final digital decoration are not three different steps, and one of them has to be adapted to the other, but they are born, they are engineered in the same exact moment, and then spread to the different machinery. So we can be sure that all will be perfect and without any defect. This is a little bit, I don't know how much is the resolution, just to show how is step by step the evolution of the tile. As we said before, we deposit layer of powder, first and second layer. Then we start with the dry digital decoration, which has different head, which means different color or different application. We can give glaze and grain or two different colors. You can see how the color may be implemented. Then we give structure. We give structure while through the compactor, as we said before. And then we go for the final inkjet decoration. We give the final touch. But it is not only the digital decoration. It is a combination of all the three steps before. So in the final product, we took an example of a travertino because it's one of the most elaborated graphic that you may have in terms of structure, in terms of depth, in terms of naturality of product. Here I put some example before just to show you, but I invite you, whenever if there will be the opportunity, to come to see to Italy or wherever you like, to show not only what we have in our R&D department, but to see directly factory working with this technology. People experience every day, and to talk yourself with the operator in order to feel directly how this technology made simple to make very complicated things, because this is another key factor. So I put some other example here where we combine all the application. Application are there. We can use according to the product and the fact that we want to obtain. There's some other. So just to put a little bit the things in line and then to leave the word to my colleagues. Continua Plus is completely a different technology which has brought into the market the concept that we overcome the concept of hydraulic press by delinking the size from the machinery. We have just one compactor, and that's it. No sizes of machinery, no ranges of machinery. The high output, we can produce up to 14,000 square meters per day as an output, but not renouncing to the big quality, which shall be the top one, because here we are delivering top gamma products, sizes and effect. For sure, when we introduce this technology, we are pressing along a strip which is narrow, and this creates a very complete and homogeneous compactation of the tile, which allows you, after firing, to do what you like. You can cut, you can polish, you can may have a lappato, whatever the mark requires. The big flexibility of the line is in the easy changeover of the sizes, both of them, by simply switching into the PLC in 0 time, and the graphic structure changeover is 30 minutes. The variety of the statical effect are whatever you may think we can do, and sometimes even more, because we are limitless in that. And we believe that having seen the success of this technology in this market, for the slab itself, or also through the help of green cutting, of cutting after firing, this is also creating an added value in terms of logistics, where the product or the slab can be also even considered a semi-finished product to be treated, with a big saving in the cost of warehouse and in logistic management. So this is a little bit of overview of this technology. I don't want to I hope I didn't bore you too much, because there are very technical concepts. I hope I gave you a brief outline and put you a little bit of curiosity in you. We are happy if you would like to come to visit us, and also to dedicate a single meeting with whoever of you is interested. Thanks again for attention. I leave the word to my colleague, Mr. Felicani, for the digital printing. Thank you.